Today's video has us setting our sights on the Mangler, one of the most exciting new weapons to join the Halo sandbox, and supposedly one of the most controversial as well. So exciting and controversial that some players want it removed from the game, and others want it swapped in as a permanent loadout tool. I'm the Home Slice, Ascend High. And today we're discussing the interesting and dynamic state of the Mangler in Halo Infinite. Before we start, I want to share a word from a valuable sponsor, my Instagram, where every Thursday I showcase 3 community-made Spartans for thousands to see. You can join in by following me on Insta and or on Twitter, and by uploading a cool pic of your Spartan with the hashtag SpartanThursday. Okay, self-shilling over. Be sure you subscribe and stick around for my viewer question at the end. Let's get started. Okay, so the Mangler. Here's what you probably already know. It belts out serious damage from a revolver-style platform, 3 shots to drop in a generic target, and being a bladed weapon, the Mangler gets a melee damage boost in this game, just like the Ravager and Skewer. Most infamously, the Mangler is capable of killing generic enemies after 1 shot and 1 melee, and as I've shown you before, the Ravager can do this too. It's right here where most people assume they sorta understand it all. Gun strong, now I form a strong opinion about it. I go home, right? However, I think to fully understand the Mangler, you need to understand the design objectives and legacy design motifs that embody this weapon. Let's start by establishing the objective. We all know that Infinite lacks the traditional shotgun, supposedly replaced by the Bulldog, but as my time playing Infinite has grown and grown, it's become apparent to me that the Shotty was not simply replaced, it was divided out among 3 new weapons. A shotgun is defined by its risk versus reward mechanic. Risk yourself in close quarters, be rewarded with high damage up to insta-kills. A natural performance check is high spread, high damage fall off, etc., right? The Heatwave, Bulldog, and Mangler all carry fragmented sentiments of the shotgun within them, and all focus on undoing a limitation of a traditional shotgun. The Heatwave takes the quirks of the scatter shot, evolves them, and then begs the question, what if the player controlled the spread? The Bulldog warps the shotgun as it was, and makes a trade. You can fight at longer distances now, but you get no reward for fighting up close. And finally, we arrive at the Mangler, a clever twist on the Mauler that flirts with the dangerous idea of still increasing your lethality at close range, but rather than check your potential with spread, it checks it with the limits of player skill. Before we go on, we need to discuss the legacy weapon that the Mangler springboards from, the Mauler. Halo's second ever shotgun was, well, less than impressive in its own title. The Mauler, being a shotgun, had a very low effective combat range, which is a harsh thing to have in Halo 3, a game unapologetically dominated by the battle rifle. And unlike the typical shotgun, the Mauler was not capable of insta-kills. Instead, the Mauler had a different trick that might look familiar to you. That's right, the 1 tap, 1 slap. So long as you were close enough to pop shields, you could do this same trick with the Mauler. And while you might make the mistake of thinking the Mangler is simply stealing this from the Mauler, the reality is the Mangler is actually fixing this for the Mauler. Here's the thing, the Mauler is a shotgun struggling to be just that. It has all the drawbacks of a shotgun and none of the perks. You have to get close to deal hardly enough damage to kill an opponent. And it's by a simple metric of math that the Mauler achieves the quickest kill with the 1 tap, 1 slap, not by some grander design. How is making me work harder than a normal shotgun for the same result enticing? Oh, and if you're already typing a comment about how the Mauler should have been dual-wielded, I've already got a whole video about why nothing should have ever been dual-wielded ever. We don't do that here. So the pipeline from Mauler to Mangler has one key design motive: strip away the limits of spread that neutered the Mauler, and instead let the user choose. Play dirty up close or punish from afar, and the result is a weapon that challenges the user to play well enough to turn it into a monster, and at the same time challenges an opponent to do whatever it takes to take the Mangler away. For me, that's the controversial genius of this weapon. There are no punches pulled, no quirks holding it back, no integrated flaws to turn you away. This is both the weapon everybody wants and everyone fears. It's fully committed to what it's doing, as where many of the design commitments of the weapons in Infinite make them weaker, the Mangler's goal only makes it stronger. It's making pro players so uncomfortable because this power weapon is redefining the line between tier 2 and tier 3. It may not be able to insta-kill, but it can produce kills so consistently and so quickly that it's just as stressful to encounter as a rocket launcher or a sword. Any given fight with the Mangler can evolve two ways. You can try to keep your distance, but you need to be able to kill the Mangler user before they hand cannon you to death. Or you can bluff the fight up close and try to out-punch or out-damage them in a range where they're trying to melee you, taking away their ability to shoot. There's a lot of play there. I've heard accusations that this gun is broken or that it needs a nerf, and extreme views from pro players even bide for this gun to be removed entirely. This would be an utter disappointment. One of the most integral parts of Halo's weapon sandbox is the pyramid of power, a concept that describes how players will constantly trade up and trade out for stronger or more effective weapons. In Halos 4 and 5, 343 sought to simply level out the pyramid by making every weapon nearly equally viable from a damage and time to kill standpoint. But in Infinite, they have let up on the leash a little and have allowed weapons to be desired for their functions rather than simply their damage. The Mangler is the temptress of the battlefield. Its function is power, and done right. It puts two corners of the golden triangle in players' hands and lets the user decide how lethal they want to be. Does this mean someone can stomp with a Mangler? Oh, absolutely. Does this mean a Mangler has an advantage over other players? You bet. But the Mangler is meant to be treated as essential. You need to target the Mangler user. You need to pull it every time you see it. You need a teammate challenging Mangler with Mangler. The Mangler is a shotgun unbound. It is better than a heat wave or a bulldog. It's better than most tier 2 power weapons. And it achieves this not just by being powerful, but by being consistent. It's this reality that leads us to today's viewer question. If we assume the Mangler is to stay as is, no nerf, no buff, should it still share a weapon pad with pistol weapons, or should it be upgraded to share with the Bulldog and Heatwave, tier 2 weapons more suited to what the Mangler is capable of doing? That's going to do it for this video. Be sure to like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you have not. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, and to continue the discussion, join my Discord linked below. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later.